Hello and welcome to the FA Women's National League show, the weekly show where I look at everything that has happened over the past 7 days in the FA Women's National League and look ahead to what we can look forward to in the week to come. I'm here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football in England. We're going to start, as we do in 2022, with the news. A couple of bits of news to talk about. And firstly, a volunteer opportunity with the FA Women's National League. They are looking for a general secretary in the part-time volunteer basis to do things such as player registrations, keeping things up to date on FA full-time, things like that. So if you're interested in that role, all the information is on the FA Women's National League Twitter page. But you've got to be quick because the closing date for any applications is tomorrow, Wednesday the 19th. So if you're interested in that role, then you do need to be quick and get involved with the FA Women's National League. The other piece of news came to light last night, really being on the news. Unfortunately, the Cardiff City ladies team bus was hit by a rock being thrown from a bridge on their way back from their game against Oxford. Smashed through the sunroof. Fortunately, nobody was injured. And it appears as well that Cardiff weren't targeted in any way. A couple of other vehicles were hit by rocks being thrown off a bridge on the M4. But thankfully, nobody was hurt in that incident. But of course, naturally, quite a few people were shaken up. So glad to hear that everybody from Cardiff is okay, as many of you will know. Started my women's football career in Cardiff, so club holds a special place for me. But they're all okay. And if you want to get involved with the FA Women's National League and potentially become the General Secretary, then the closing date for applications is tomorrow. Make sure you get on that as soon as possible to be in with a chance of potentially getting that role. Right, that is the two bits of news. So we're going to look then at the results from the last week of matches. We've got one game in the Cup, the final game in the second round of the Cup, which has finally been played. Still waiting for the final second round game in the Plate to be played. So that's should have been on the 9th, then it should have been last week. Now it's going to be next week because County Cup has been taking precedent for Leeds United. So they should hopefully play Alnwick Town this coming weekend. Doesn't seem to be anything else that's blocking the schedule at the moment. So we'll start, though, as we always do, in the Northern Premier Division. Burnley 6, Sheffield 1. AFC Fylde 6, Middlesbrough 1, Huddersfield Town 2, Nottingham Forest 1, and Hull City 1, Loughborough Lightning 3. So we'll start at the top, that Burnley game. 2 goals for Dominique Cooper and 2 for Courtney Willis coming off the substitutes bench. Sarah Greenhalgh and Evie Priestley getting a goal each for Burnley with their 6. Sheffield haven't yet announced their lineup. Not sure who got their one lone goal. For AFC Fylde, a 6-1 victory over Middlesbrough, but there's no information at all about that fixture. Huddersfield Town against Nottingham Forest. Forest falling 2 goals down in the first half. Laura Elford on the 10th minute and Serena Fletcher on the 44th minute. Putting Huddersfield 2 goals ahead in that one. Forest getting a consolation goal back in the 3rd minute of stoppage time at the end of the game. Rebecca Anderson with a free kick getting Forest a goal back, but the full-time whistle went immediately after the restart. No chance for them to try and salvage a point from that game. And then finally, Hull City 1, Loughborough Lightning 3. Hull City taking the lead in this game. 4 minutes in, Liberty Bott opening the scoring for Hull. Their one and only goal of the game. Loughborough Lightning equalising just past the halfway point of the first half. 23 minutes, Abby Benstead, meaning that the teams went in at the break, a goal apiece. But then 2 goals in the space of 7 minutes. Harriet Petley and then Ella Powell, 72nd and 79th minute. Mean Loughborough Lightning get a much needed victory, 3-1 victory over Hull City. What that means for the table, as you can see, lots of movement around the Northern Premier Division. So AFC Fylde and Derby County, they swap at the top of the table thanks to Fylde's goal difference being greater than Derby's, but Derby have that game in hand. Burnley and Huddersfield with their victories both climb places as well. Wolves, who didn't play, they were in County Cup action. Forest losing to Huddersfield, they both dropped down by a couple of places, but 2 points separating third from sixth at the moment. And then at the bottom, Loughborough Lightning, they climb a place above Sheffield with that victory over Hull City. Loughborough then 2 points away from safety in the Northern Premier Division, plus they have a game in hand over Middlesbrough. So Loughborough Lightning are certainly not out of things as we head into the second half of the season for many of these sides. Teams like Wolves and Brickhouse that have only played 9 games in the league, they've got an awfully congested second half of the season when you compare it to some teams such as, say, Burnley, who have only got 10 games left, where Wolves have got 15. Left to play in the Northern Premier Division, plus of course cup games, county cup games, and everything else that goes along with that. So that's the Northern Premier Division. Let's look at the Southern Premier Division results. Chichester and Chelsea 0, London Bees 5, Ipswich Town with a 9-0 thrashing of Hounslow, MK Dons 0, Southampton 1, Oxford United 2, Cardiff City 0, and Plymouth Argyle 2, Portsmouth 1. We'll start with Chichester and Chelsea against London Bees. A convincing victory for London in the end, but all 5 goals coming in the second half. Opening with Lauren Herrier in the 56th minute, so just 10 minutes after half time. Joe Wilson doubling their advantage on 68 minutes. Jade Bell on 79 minutes. Millie Constantine coming off the substitutes bench and scoring 5 minutes later on the 86th minute. And then Joe Wilson, her second of the game on the 90th minute, made it a 5-0 victory for the London Bees. Ipswich Town, as I said, 3-0 up at half-time against Hounslow, a 9-0 victory in the end. 2 goals for Maddie Biggs, Abby Lafayette, 4 goals for Natasha Thomas, Paige Peake getting one as well, a 9-0 victory for Ipswich Town. Close one in Milton Keynes, just the 1 goal. Ella Pusey coming up again for Southampton, the only goal of the game, but does give Southampton the 3 points they need to stay on the tails of MK Dons. Oxford United 2, Cardiff City 0. 2 goals for Beth Lumsden, 25th minute and 75th minute, giving Oxford the 3 points over Cardiff. And Plymouth Argyle against Portsmouth. It was finished 2-1, 2-1 at half time as well. Beth Ireland getting a goal for Plymouth in the 6th minute. Zoe Cunningham in the 36th minute scoring a penalty. No information about the goal for Portsmouth as of yet. What that means for the table is all the movement is actually down towards the bottom, with the top 3 all winning. Things stay as they are. Ipswich Town are 6 points clear of Oxford United, but Oxford United have a game in hand. They are only 7 points clear of Southampton, and Southampton have 3 games in hand. So winning all those, Southampton will go back top. Interesting to see how that pans out throughout the course of the season. 26 games to be played in the Southern Premier Division. So again, not many of the teams have actually reached the halfway point yet. There's still plenty that are just shy of halfway through their season. The movement comes down at the bottom. That victory for Plymouth has climbed them up a couple of places. They are now at the last relegation zone, and they've got a game in hand over Cardiff, so they could pull themselves level with Cardiff City with a win in that game in hand. The goal difference does not suit them at the moment, -21 to Cardiff's -6, but As I said, only halfway through the season for those teams in the Southern Premier Division, so plenty of opportunities for Plymouth to potentially bridge that gap, maybe put Cardiff or Keynsham into the bottom 4. Let's go through then into Division 1 North. Barnsley 0, Newcastle United 3, Chorley 0, Chester Street Town 0, and FC United of Manchester 2, Stockport County 2. Newcastle United beating Barnsley by 3-0. Katie Barker, Georgia Gibson and Erin Nelson with the goals for Newcastle United. Of course, nothing really to report with Chorley against Chester Street Town. FC United of Manchester 2, Stockport County 2. All the goals coming in the first half in this one. Lauren Wood in the 30th minute and Ashley Hayes in the 44th minute getting the goals for FC United of Manchester. It was a 2-2 draw, but no information about the 2 goals for Stockport County. What that means in the table is not a lot, if we're honest. No movement at all after that weekend's fixtures. Newcastle United stay in second. They've closed the gap now to Liverpool Feds to 2 points after playing that game in hand, but their goal difference is significantly better. They are now 9 points clear of Leeds in third, but Leeds have 2 games in hand. Durham Cester a further 5 points back. Chorley getting a 0-0 draw with Chester Street Town. They go on to 13 points, but Stockport County and FC United of Manchester's draw mean they also move to 13 points. So now just 1 point separates 4th from 9th in the Division 1 North. Very tight in the midfield. Chester Street Town getting a point moves them to within 4 points of safety. Into the Division 1 Midlands we go then. Bideford United 0, Leek Town 5, Doncaster Rovers Bells 1, Wem Town 0, Long Eaton United 3, Solihull Moors 2. We'll start then with Bideford against Leek Town. 3-0 up Leek Town at half-time. A first half hat-trick for Katie Meyer. 14th, 24th and 38th minute goals for her. 83rd minute, Paris O'Connell substitutes coming on. And then 88th minute, Chantel Gallagher rounding off the 5-0 victory. Doncaster Rovers Bells, another victory for them. A 1-0 victory over Wem Town. It doesn't say what their goal was or who scored it. And Long Eaton United 3, Solihull Moors 2. For Long Eaton United, 2 goals for Tiana Hicks and 1 for Anya May Cresswell, giving them the victory. Tiana Russell Cartwright and Jessica Lowe scoring for Solihull Moors. In the table, Long Eaton United and Lincoln City swap back after they had swapped the week before. Long Eaton United after that victory, Lincoln City not playing. Peterborough United and Wem Town also swap places. Moving through then into the Division 1 South East, Enfield Town 1, AFC Wimbledon 2, Kent Football United 2, Actonians 1, and London Seaward 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Will start with Enfield Town against AFC Wimbledon. There was a venue swap to get this game played. Molly Committo in the 64th minute scoring for Enfield Town. No information as of yet about AFC Wimbledon. Then we get to Kent Football United against Actonians. Kent Football United, their first win of the season. Great for them to get off the mark, but they haven't yet announced their lineup, so I can't praise the team and the goal scorers. Samira Khan in the 47th minute getting the goal for Actonians. And London Seaward against Queen's Park Rangers. Just the 1 goal in this one. Demi Edwards right before half-time in the 45th minute, giving Queen's Park Rangers the 3 points. What that means for the table, there's a bit of movement in the mid-table again. AFC Wimbledon, with that victory, climb a couple of places. London Seaward losing, of course. Queen's Park Rangers climbing a place above Cambridge City as well after their victory. Kent Football United at the bottom there. They're now on 5 points. They're still 5 points away from safety, but they have games in hand, so maybe they will be buoyed by that victory, get a few more points, and maybe we'll see them out of the bottom 4. Into South West then finally, just to round off the fixtures in the leagues at least. Chesham United 0, AFC Bournemouth 2, and Exeter City 0, Maidenhead United 1. Start with the game for Bournemouth. Goals for Lucy Cooper, 15th minute, and Katie James, 66th minute, giving them the 2-0 victory. Maidenhead United haven't announced any information on the website yet, so don't know their goal scorer against Exeter. What it means for the table, Maidenhead United are up 2 places, jump ahead of Portishead and Exeter City. AFC Bournemouth remain where they were in second, but have closed the gap to Cheltenham Town to just 2 points with a couple of games in hand. As we'll see, that will significantly increase over the course of the next week as well. Right. We're now going to move to the FAWNL Cup second round. The final fixture was played. Southampton Women 0, Crawley Wasps 4. What that means is that Crawley Wasps will host Oxford United in the quarter-final. Where, as I said, next week we're waiting for Alnwick Town against Leeds United to finalise the Plate quarter-finals. So that should happen this Sunday. Then next week we've got the FA Cup fourth round, and the week after that is the quarter-finals for the Cup and the Plate. So plenty of Cup action still to play for many of these sides. So that's all the results from the past 7 days in the third and fourth tiers, and of course the Cups. Now there was plenty of County Cup action taking place last weekend as well, and many of these County Cups are getting down towards the semi-final stages. One of those is the Birmingham FA County Cup. Now you may remember a few weeks ago I did a mock quarter-final draw for that County Cup under the request of Stourbridge and the Wolves Women podcast. Well, they've now been back in touch and said, do you mind doing one for the semi-final? So 4 teams left in this. Wolves, Bournemouth St Michael's, West Bromwich Albion and Stourbridge. So, of course, 4 balls. Only took a couple of minutes to film. Here's the mock semi-final draw for the Birmingham County Cup Women's County Cup for this year. Hello, welcome to the mock semi-final draw for the Birmingham FA Women's County Cup. 4 teams left in the competition. Ball number 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2, Bournemouth St Michael's. 3, West Bromwich Albion. And 4, Stourbridge. Let's get straight down to it. First ball out the hat, number 4, that's Stourbridge. Stourbridge, first team out the hat. And they will face number 3, West Bromwich Albion. That's Stourbridge against West Bromwich Albion. Number 2, Bournemouth St Michael's. 2, Bournemouth St Michael's. They face number 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers. And that concludes the draw. Stourbridge at home to West Bromwich Albion and Bournemouth St Michael's at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. The ties to be played on February the 20th. There we go then, that was the draw for the mock draw for the Birmingham FA County Cup semi-final. We'll see if the full-time computer brings out the same draw as I did. What we're going to do now is we're going to move through to have a look at the fixtures coming up this week. We've got a few midweek fixtures to talk about as well, so there'll be plenty of action for you to get your teeth into over the next 7 days. Let's start though in the north. All these fixtures on Sunday. Brighouse Town against Hull City. Huddersfield Town take on Middlesbrough. Sheffield against Loughborough Lightning. Stoke City against Nottingham Forest. And Wolverhampton Wanderers against Derby County. Interesting matches in that one, particularly at the bottom there. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Derby County. That's 5th against 2nd. But Wolves, don't forget, still unbeaten in the league this season. And with 3 games in hand, 5 games in hand on some of the teams above them, their league positioning at the moment doesn't really give a true reflection of their form. So that'll be a great game to watch. Elsewhere, Stoke City against Nottingham Forest. That's 9th against 6th. Forest desperate for a win to try and move themselves higher up the table. Sheffield against Loughborough Lightning, a 6-pointer towards the bottom, even at this midway stage in the season. Sheffield on 6 points, Loughborough on 7. With Huddersfield Town at home to Middlesbrough, you would feel that Huddersfield would be favourites to get the win there. A win for Loughborough Lightning could lift them out of the bottom 3, and indeed a win for Sheffield as well, if the goal difference works in their favour, would lift them out of the bottom 3 as well. And then finally, Brighouse Town against Hull City. That's 8th against 13th. Hull City desperately needing a first win of the season to try and keep themselves in the hunt for staying in the Northern Premier Division. Moving through into the Southern Premier Division, Bridgewater United against MK Dons, Crawley Wasps against London Bees, Hounslow against Gillingham, Keynsham Town against Ipswich Town, Oxford United against Chichester and Chelsea, and Plymouth Argyle against Cardiff City. Again, these fixtures, they're kind of more top half, bottom half than anything else. Bridgewater United against MK Dons, that's 5th against 12th. Crawley Wasps taking on the London Bees, that's 7th against 8th. That's quite a close one in the mid-table. They could jump above each other if the results go the right way for them. Hounslow against Gillingham, that's 14th. Hounslow still yet to have a win this season. Gillingham in 6th. Keynsham Town against Ipswich Town, that's 9th, hosting 1st. Oxford United against Chichester and Chelsea, that's 2nd against 13th. And Plymouth Argyle against Cardiff City, that is another one right on the cusp of the relegation zone. A win for Plymouth Argyle, they will then move level on points with Cardiff City as those sides move into the second half of the season. Cardiff City, not really where I was expecting them to be at the start of the season, if I'm honest, and in danger of dropping into the bottom 4. Division 1 Midlands, Bideford United against Sporting Cowser, Burton Albion against Leafield Athletic, Lincoln City against Boldmere St Michael's, Long Eaton United against Peterborough United, Wem Town take on Solihull Moors, and Leek Town against Doncaster Rovers Bells. Bideford United, bottom of the table, they really need to close that gap. Sporting Cowser in the mid-table are looking to close the 6-point gap to Leek Town above them. Burton Albion and Leafield Athletic, 10th versus 11th, and both of them can move out of the bottom 3 if the results go their way. So that's a really crucial game for both of those. Lincoln City against Boldmere St Michael's, 3rd versus 4th. Lincoln will be wanting to keep up the pressure on Doncaster Rovers Bells because they have those games in hand. But equally, Boldmere St Michael's can go joint top on 29 points if they win all their games in hand. So they'll be wanting to keep the pressure on as well. Long Eaton United against Peterborough United, that's 2nd against 7th. Long Eaton United wanting to win for the same reasons, keep the pressure on Doncaster Rovers Bells. Wem Town against Solihull Moors, that's 8th versus 9th. Again, that's a really crucial game around that relegation zone because with Leafield Athletic taking on Burton Albion, there could be a lot of movement because they're all on similar goal differences as well with those teams. So keep an eye on that on next week's show. And finally, Leek Town against Doncaster Rovers Bells. That's 5th against 1st. You would fancy Doncaster Rovers Bells being the league leaders, but Leek Town are certainly not going to make it easy for them. Division 1 North, just 3 games to talk about. Barnsley against Durham Sestra, Bradford City against Newcastle United, and Stockport County against Norton Stockton Ancients. This, of course, the domestic fixtures in terms of the league for Division 1 North, hampered by Leeds and Alnwick Town being in the County Cup action instead. Barnsley against Durham Sestra, then that's 9th against 4th. Barnsley looking to increase the gap to the bottom 3. Bradford City against Newcastle United. Again, you would fancy Newcastle. They can move top with Liverpool Feds not playing, but Bradford City, a victory would see them climb out of the bottom 3. Stockport County against Norton Stockton Ancients, that's 6th versus 5th. They're on the same number of points and they could climb up to 4th. Either of them could climb up to 4th with a victory. Let's move through then to Division 1 South East. Very, very busy week in the Division 1 South East. We've got midweek and Sunday fixtures. All tomorrow, Cambridge City against Stevenage, United against Billericay Town, London Seaward against AFC Wimbledon, and QPR versus Actonians. So the standout game there, of course, Hashtag United against Billericay Town. 1 point separating the two sides at the top of the table. The winner there will go potentially, if it's Hashtag 4 points clear, Billericay Town can move 2 points clear at the top of the table. Billericay Town, of course, unbeaten in the league so far this season. They are at least 6 points clear of Actonians, who have played 3 games more than them as well. AFC Wimbledon can get to within 6 points of them with winning their games in hand. AFC Wimbledon are playing London Seaward. That's 4th versus 5th, so that's going to be a close game as well. Cambridge City against Stevenage at the top there. That's 8th against 12th. But Stevenage, they're not going to get out of the relegation zone in midweek, because their goal difference of -35 is significantly less than Enfield Town's -6. But they can pull level on points, and that's got to be the goal at the moment for Stevenage. And QPR versus Actonians, that's 7th against 3rd. Queen's Park Rangers, again, can climb a couple of places with a victory. They'll be hoping that Kent Football United's victory over Actonians last weekend, as we discussed earlier in the show, will just kind of give an Actonians a bit of a wobble, and hopefully Queen's Park Rangers, from their point of view, will be able to get the victory and move a bit further up the table. We then move to Sunday, Actonians against Norwich City, Cambridge United against Queen's Park Rangers, Hashtag United against AFC Wimbledon, Kent Football United against Harlow Town, London Seaward against Billericay Town, and Stevenage against Enfield Town. So we look at these fixtures again. Actonians in 3rd, Norwich City in 11th. So Actonians will be looking to bounce back with a couple of victories. Cambridge United against Queen's Park Rangers. That's 6th versus 7th. Of course, as it stands at the moment, this might change after tomorrow's fixtures. Hashtag United against AFC Wimbledon. That is 1st against 4th. Again, not necessarily a walk in the park for Hashtag United, that one. Kent Football United against Harlow Town. 13th against 10th. Both sides in the relegation zone at the moment. Kent Football United, as I've just said, hopefully buoyed by their victory last weekend. Maybe push on, get some more points. Maybe try and get themselves closer to the end of that relegation zone, particularly with their games in hand that they've still got to come. London Seaward against Billericay Town, 2nd versus 5th. And Stevenage against Enfield Town, that's 12th versus 9th. Again, Stevenage, with a victory, can pull themselves level with Enfield Town as things stand at the moment, on 10 points. And then it's only goal difference that is going to be keeping Stevenage in the relegation zone. So we're going to move on then to the Division 1 South West. This is going to be a quick roundup. One game tomorrow, Maidenhead against Chesham. Then on Thursday, Swindon Town against Cheltenham Town. Then Cheltenham Town back in action again. Larkhall Athletic versus Cheltenham on Sunday. So on Wednesday, Maidenhead United against Chesham. That's 4th versus 7th. It is so tight in there that a convincing victory for Chesham, and they could leapfrog 3 places and leapfrog Maidenhead United. Then on Thursday, Swindon against Cheltenham. That's 1st versus 8th. Cheltenham looking to extend the gap at the top. Then on Sunday, Larkhall Athletic against Cheltenham. That's 9th versus 3rd. So Cheltenham, 2 away games, but against 8th and 9th in the league of 10 teams. They'd fancy 6 points from this week. That would then put them 8 points clear of Bournemouth, but they will then have played 3 games more than Bournemouth. So it's still advantage, well, you'd say advantage to Cheltenham, because points in the hand are always better than games in hand. But Bournemouth, with winning all those games in hand, would still go back top. So Cheltenham Town, 2 fixtures this weekend. This week coming up, Thursday and then Sunday. And speaking of Cheltenham Town, after their manager, Tom Davis, got the Division 4 Manager of the Month award for December, he is going to be my guest on the show next week. So Cheltenham Town fans, if you have any questions for manager Tom Davis, then get them into me at Chris_Gadsby in the comment section down below. And I'll put some of your questions to him next week when I speak to Cheltenham Town manager Tom Davis. That will do it for this week's episode of the FA Women's National League show. Thank you very much for joining me, and hope you enjoyed the Mock County Cup semi-final draw in the middle of it as well. As always, if you want to get involved in the show or you have anything else you'd like to see on the show, ideas or suggestions for the show, either leave them in the comments section down below or contact me on Twitter at Chris_Gadsby. But as I say every week, keep supporting your local women's football team. Keep yourselves safe and most importantly, enjoy your women's football. See you at the same time next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Goodbye.